Fair floated in the quiet of his ship, Starseeker's lantern staring at the map that stretched across his main screen. Stars glittered in clusters, glowing like scattered jewels against a dark canvas. This part of the galaxy was lonely, a far reach where few ships ever came. The Stellar Concord called it the Periphery, a place meant only for scouts, survey drones, and patient explorers like him. For Vare, loneliness was a companion rather than a curse. He was a cartographer, born among the river cities of Calvor, a world famous for its libraries and crystal towers. From a young age, he had loved shapes, patterns, and the feeling of finding order in chaos. That love had drawn him to the stars, where space was an endless puzzle waiting to be solved. His latest assignment was to chart the unclaimed sectors beyond Sector R87. The Concord wanted a clean map of everything that lay between the spiral arms and the dim dwarf stars at the galaxy's edge. Most scouts returned with dull reports. A few rocky worlds, frozen moons, perhaps an abandoned mining post. Nothing living, nothing worth the cost of building stations so far from trade lanes. But Vare believed that the periphery hid stories. He often imagined forgotten colonies, ancient ruins, or new forms of life waiting in shadowed nebulae. That belief kept him focused as his ship drifted through silence. He adjusted his long fingers over the console, sending another pulse of scanning drones into the black. Their signals rippled outward, measuring gravity, light, and faint traces of energy. As the readings returned, Vare frowned. A pattern blinked at the edge of the map. Something faint. "Almost erased by time. Computer," he said, his voice calm but curious. "Expand grid Theta 7. The display widened, revealing a small sun-like star far beyond the standard routes. Around it spun a handful of planets, most covered in ice or rock. Only one world glowed with the soft blue of an atmosphere. The data flickered. Oceans, land, clouds, a mild climate. That alone would have been a pleasant find. Yet what caught Vare's eye was a ghostly transmission, pulsing near the third planet. It was weak, buried in the static of cosmic dust. The frequency was old, using a style of quantum code no one employed anymore. Vare leaned closer. "Origin?" he asked. The ship's calm voice answered. "Signal appears native to the third planet. Estimated age 600 cycles. Content encrypted. Complexity extreme." He felt a quiet thrill. 600 cycles. Older than most Concord records in this sector. And the encryption was dense, far more advanced than any colony beacon from that era. Whoever made it wanted to hide something. He hesitated. Regulations said he should mark the find and continue his survey. But his heart, steady under his pale skin, urged him to dig deeper. He requested a deeper scan. The ship hummed as it analyzed. Lines of numbers slid across the screen, shifting like water. After a long moment, the computer replied, "Partial analysis complete. Transmission carries a repeating core, but multiple layers of protection are woven into the data. Probability of intentional concealment 99%. Vare folded his wings, a sign of focus among his kind. "Archive this as Discovery Theta 71, he said softly. "Transmit summary to the Concord, priority level 2. He paused, studying the world again. Its surface shimmered with blue seas and green lands, bright against the lonely void. There were no obvious cities or stations visible from orbit, yet faint traces of satellites circled the planet, silent watchers. "Who are you?" Vare whispered. He spent the next hour circling the system, launching drones to capture images of the world and its moons. The results came back in steady streams. Forests stretching across continents, mountain chains capped with white, deserts painted gold. Signs of rivers carved graceful lines through valleys. Clouds drifted in slow, dreamy spirals. There were hints of structures, tiny, regular shapes near river mouths and coasts. But they were small, hard to define, as though whoever lived there wanted to stay hidden. As night cycles passed aboard the lantern, Vare prepared his official report. He kept his words precise, careful not to let excitement seep through. Possible inhabited world detected. Transmission indicates pre-Concord technology but advanced encryption. Recommend further investigation by science or diplomatic teams. When he sent the message, he felt both relief and unease. Relief because he had fulfilled his duty. Unease because he sensed the Concord would not treat this lightly. A hidden culture so close to the galactic edge with signals wrapped in encryption older than the Concord itself. could not be ignored. With the report away, Ver allowed himself to wonder. He walked to the viewing dome, a bubble of clear alloy that looked out over the stars. The blue planet hung in the distance, quiet and mysterious. He imagined its people, if they still lived, watching the skies as he was watching them. Perhaps they had sent the signal as a warning. Perhaps as a greeting. Or perhaps it was a lock guarding something powerful enough to be dangerous. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. A new message had arrived, surprisingly fast given the distance. It was from the Concord Science Directorate. Your findings have been noted. Hold position and continue passive scans. A research vessel is being prepared. Ver felt a flicker of pride. Few cartographers ever sparked such quick action, yet the swiftness also hinted at worry. The Concord rarely rushed unless they sensed threat or treasure. That night, as artificial lights dimmed to simulate dusk, Ver lay in his quarters, tail curled under him. He thought of stories told by elder cartographers, legends of forgotten empires that rose, burned, and vanished, leaving behind dangerous relics. He had always dismissed them as campfire tales meant to keep scouts alert. Now he was not so sure. On the third day, he sent another probe. This one aimed to skim the planet's atmosphere. The probe dived through clouds, sampling air and photographing landscapes before slipping back into orbit. Its data made Ver sit upright. Oxygen levels were ideal for a wide range of life. The surface teemed with forests, rivers, and plains rich with growth. There were no signs of recent devastation, no burns of war. The world was alive and well, but there was still that signal. Always the signal, repeating its steady, encrypted rhythm like a heartbeat. Ver recorded the sound, playing it softly in his cabin as he studied the probe's pictures. The tone was calm, neither distress nor invitation. It felt deliberate, a message meant for someone who would take the time to notice. He began to keep a journal, noting every detail, the colors of the seas, the spiral of weather systems, the faint shine of orbiting debris. He imagined the beings below, what shapes they might have, how they built their homes, why they had chosen secrecy over openness. On the fifth day, another order came from the Concord. Maintain surveillance but do not approach the surface. Avoid active contact until specialists arrive. That settled it. Whatever lived on the third planet, or whatever had lived there, was important enough to draw high-level caution. Ver felt a quiet connection to the place, as if he had been chosen to find it. He promised himself he would watch with respect. The galaxy had many treasures, but few that pulsed with such calm mystery. Standing once more by the dome, he traced the planet's outline with a claw against the glass. He wondered if somewhere on that surface eyes were turned upward, marking his ship as a tiny moving star. Perhaps they were wondering about him just as he wondered about them. He smiled, a rare expression among his people. The periphery had given him a gift, a secret waiting at the edge of the map, wrapped in quiet oceans and encrypted light, and far away. Deep in the halls of the Concord, others were already planning their next move. Ships would come, questions would rise, and the blue world would no longer sleep beneath the stars unnoticed. Ver, however, would always remember that he was the first to hear its hidden heartbeat, the first to see its calm face, the first to whisper into the silence, "Who are you and what do you hold?" The research vessel Arivian Dawn slid through the dark, its silver hull catching the light of a lonely sun. On its bridge, Captain Cyril Rinn studied the blue world that rotated slowly below. He had crossed many sectors of the Concord, but he had never seen a planet quite like this one. Its colors were sharp and clean, as if someone had painted them with care. Bright seas, deep green forests, white clouds drifting in gentle spirals. Cyril's crew gathered at their stations. Ver, the cartographer whose discovery had brought them here, Lurok, a tall engineer with calm hands, and two science officers who whispered to each other while examining data streams. The ship hummed softly, its systems alert but patient. "This is the world," Ver said quietly. "I call it Third Planet until we learn its name." Cyril nodded. "A calm place, but I don't trust calm surfaces. What have we learned from orbit?" The science officer Polly spoke while scrolling through readings. "Atmosphere stable. Gravity close to Concord norm. Land masses are rich with rivers and plants. We detect energy grids, though faint. Too faint for an open civilization. But they are there, hidden beneath cloud layers. Lurak turned from his console. No signs of weapons or heavy defenses, yet their encryption is beyond anything recorded from this region. Whoever they are, they prefer silence. Saral tapped the edge of the display. And the signal? It continues, Polly replied. Steady, never changing. A locked message. The captain looked out at the stars. They want someone to notice, but not too many. He gave an order to launch a comms buoy, sending a soft greeting toward the surface in a dozen peaceful languages of the conquered. The transmission was careful, respectful, free of demands. They waited for hours, nothing happened. Then as the dawn's lights dimmed for rest cycle, a reply shimmered on the console. It was short, clear, and written in an old diplomatic code long used by young colonies during their first steps into space. Visitors, you are seen. Remain in high orbit. A delegation will speak with you soon. The message ended with a simple mark, a star wrapped in a circle. The crew exchanged glances. Vare's feathers lifted slightly, a gesture of surprise among his people. They understand us, he said, and they are watching. Morning cycle aboard the Arivian Dawn began with quiet tension. Everyone moved carefully as if loud steps might break the fragile thread connecting them to the world below. Cyril ordered full scans of the planet's upper atmosphere while keeping communication channels open. At last, a new signal arrived. This time it carried a clear voice, smooth and steady. Research vessel, this is Dr. Celine Ward, representative of Earth. You stand in our sky. We request a meeting to discuss your purpose. The bridge fell silent. The word Earth rolled across their minds like a stone dropped into water. No record in the conquered archives matched that name. Saral inclined his head toward the speaker. Dr. Ward, I am Captain Saral Rin of the stellar conquered ship Orivian Dawn. We mean no harm. We come as explorers following the discovery of your signal. Celine Ward's voice returned after a pause, tinged with curiosity. Explorers. Good. We have questions, but we prefer to speak face to face. Will you accept an invitation to land? Saral looked at his officers. Polly's eyes widened with worry. Lurak simply folded his arms. Vare, however, leaned forward, eyes bright with the same curiosity that had led him here. It is a risk, Saral murmured, but if we refuse, they may close themselves off. And they already know we are here. After short debate, the captain agreed. Inform them. A small landing team will come under peaceful flag. Hours later, a shuttle slipped from the belly of the Arivian Dawn, gliding through white clouds toward the planet's surface. Cyril piloted with steady hands, Vare sat beside him, and 2 guards remained behind them, unarmed except for small energy tools used for emergencies. The world unfolded below. Wide rivers curling like silver threads, plains full of grasses, mountains rising against blue sky. It looked untouched, yet they could sense order hidden among its shapes. Straight lines appeared along valleys, roads, or channels. At last they saw a clearing beside a calm lake. Waiting there stood 3 sleek craft, their hulls gleaming like polished stone. A group of humans walked forward as the shuttle landed. They were taller than Vare expected, with faces open yet watchful. At their center stood a woman wearing a simple coat of dark fabric. She raised her hand in greeting. I am Dr. Celine Ward, she said. Her voice carried a balance of warmth and discipline. Welcome to Earth. Saral stepped down from the ramp, bowing slightly. Captain Saral Rin, Stellar Conquered. We thank you for your welcome. Celine's gaze moved over the shuttle, then to Vare. And you must be the one who found us. I am Vare, he replied. Your world is beautiful. A faint smile crossed her face. It hides many stories. She led them toward a low building near the lake, its walls half covered in vines. Inside, rooms glowed with soft light. The air smelled of wood and sea salt. Humans offered cups of clear water and a bread-like food with gentle sweetness. As they ate, Celine spoke. You have crossed a long distance to reach us. That alone earns respect, but we must understand your reason for coming. Saral explained carefully how Vare had detected the encrypted signal, how the Concord sent them to learn more, and how they meant no harm. He ended with an honest request. We seek knowledge. Who are you and why do you hide? Celine listened without interrupting. When he finished, she leaned back, hands resting calmly on the table. Earth has walked a difficult path, she said. Long ago we learned that open noise in the stars invites dangers faster than friendship. So we chose patience. We grew quietly, kept to our system, watched the galaxy from a distance. Vare tilted his head. But your signal, why send it? It is a test, Celine replied. A whisper to see who listens with care, who respects silence before stepping closer. She stood and walked to a wall screen. With a gentle motion, she revealed images. Satellites circling in perfect balance. Research domes on icy moons. Ships hidden in asteroid fields. We have built more than we show, she said. We study, we record, and we remember. Soral felt a thread of unease. You know much about us, Celine nodded slowly. We have listened for centuries. The Concord is vast and proud, but its reach is not as complete as it thinks. We keep archives, records of histories older than your union. Vare leaned forward. Archives? Her eyes met his. Stories of civilizations that burned themselves with their own discoveries. Weapons, engines, sciences left behind when empires fell. We hold them so they are not misused. The visitors were silent, processing her words. Lurak, who had remained quiet until now, finally spoke. If you keep such things, others may try to take them. Celine's expression darkened just a little. We know. That is why Earth stays hidden. The rest of the afternoon passed in careful conversation. The humans asked about the Concord, its trade lanes, laws, and the Great Council on Lutheran Prime. In turn, they offered small glimpses of their own history, slow steps into space, a near disaster that taught them caution, a patient recovery that made them value quiet strength. As shadows stretched outside the windows, Celine invited them for a short walk along the lake. The air was cool, filled with the scent of water and grass. Birds sang from nearby trees, their notes clear against the still surface. Vare watched them with fascination. You live close to your world, he said. Many Concord cities float high above their lands. We learn to care for what we stand on, Celine replied. To forget the ground is to forget limits. At the edge of the lake, she stopped. Captain, you must understand. Earth does not seek war or rule, but we guard dangerous truths. If we open them to every passing fleet, entire systems might fall. Soral nodded slowly. Then we will honor that. We did not come to plunder. Good, she said softly, because we have seen what happens when others try. The visitors sensed a quiet warning in her tone, but also trust. She was showing them pieces of something much larger. As night settled, lights appeared across the lake, small, soft, almost like stars. Celine offered them a place to rest in the guest wing of the building. From his room, Vare looked out through wide windows at the sky. The Orivian dawn gleamed far above, a small point of silver. He thought of the signal that had led him here, of the calm voice that welcomed them, of the strange balance between kindness and guardedness in Celane's words. Humanity was not like other young species he had met. They carried weight behind their smiles, as if they bore memories heavy enough to shape every choice. Before sleeping, he wrote in his journal, Earth is quiet on the surface, but its silence is deliberate. They have knowledge they fear others might misuse. Their calm is not weakness, it is armor. Morning came with soft mist rising from the lake. Over breakfast, Celine informed them that certain areas of Earth were restricted, but others could be visited. She offered to show them a place of learning beneath the ocean, a place where some of their oldest records were kept. We do not open it often, she said, but perhaps you should see what we protect. Soral exchanged glances with his crew. They all felt the same mix of caution and curiosity. Whatever lay below Earth's seas might reveal why this quiet planet watched the galaxy with such measured eyes. As they prepared to follow Celine on the next stage of their visit, Vare felt a spark of excitement. The periphery had always been a place of empty maps and silent stars. Now, the morning sun touched the lake with gold as the visitors prepared for a journey few outsiders had ever taken. Celine Ward waited on the pier, calm and focused. Behind her stood a sleek submersible craft, its surface polished like smooth stone, its lights faint and steady. The craft floated silently, almost blending with the water. Captain Soral Rin approached, followed by Vare, Lurak, and Polly. The air smelled of clean mist and fresh grass. Vare paused to look around one last time. The quiet of the lake felt like a secret by itself. Celine greeted them with a small nod. This way, she said. The place we're going is old and carefully kept. We don't invite many people there. They stepped aboard the submersible. Inside, the cabin was round. lined with clear panels that offered a view beneath the water. Soft lights glowed along the floor. The hum of gentle engines vibrated through their feet. As the craft sank, the world above faded. Ripples turned to calm darkness. Strange fish darted through beams of light and plants swayed slowly in the current. Fair pressed his hand to the glass, fascinated by the movement. "This is beautiful," he said quietly. Selene smiled faintly. "The ocean keeps many of our stories safe. Its depth is a shield." Laroque, seated near the controls, studied the readouts. "Depth increasing steadily," he reported. "Pressure within safe range." Cyril folded his hands behind his back. "You seem very confident in this machine." "We built it for long journeys," Selene said. "What we protect lies far below." They descended for a long time. Outside, daylight thinned until the sea was black except for the lights of the craft. Shapes moved in the distance. Gentle giants with glowing fins, tiny creatures sparkling like stars. It was a silent world, peaceful but watchful. At last, Selene guided the craft toward a structure half hidden in rock and coral. Massive gates rested against the sea floor, their surfaces carved with lines that shimmered faintly. Lights along the edges came alive as the submersible approached. "This is the vault," Selene said softly. "It has stood here for centuries." Vare leaned closer to the glass. The gates looked older than anything he had seen on Earth. They held a patient strength as though waiting for someone worthy to pass. The gates opened without a sound. Beyond lay a wide chamber, its walls smooth and pale, its floor marked with guiding lights. The submersible slipped inside, then rose slowly until it rested on a platform above water level. A door in the ceiling opened, revealing a dry landing space. Selene led them out. The air in the chamber was cool and clean, smelling faintly of salt and old stone. High above, crystal panels let in a soft blue glow from the ocean beyond. "This place is a library," Selene explained, "but not of books alone. We hold memories here. Objects, machines, records of things too dangerous or too valuable to lose." Polly looked around with wide eyes. "This is not just a vault," she said. "It is a sanctuary," Selene inclined her head. "Yes." They followed her through a corridor lined with metal and crystal. On either side, sealed rooms glowed with quiet light. Inside, some objects floated in clear fields, fragments of starship hulls, shards of crystals etched with unreadable codes, and spheres that pulsed gently like sleeping hearts. Vare felt a quiet awe. "How did you gather these things?" he asked. "Carefully," Selene replied. "Some we found among the ruins of dead worlds. Others came to us by accident, drifting in the void, waiting to be claimed. We study them, learn their stories, and hide what should not be used." She paused by a window showing a row of long cases. Each held a different item: a silver rod, a map carved on black stone, a set of small devices arranged like instruments. "Are they weapons?" Laroque asked. "Not all," Selene said. "Some are records, some are tools, but many could bring ruin if handled without care. Our duty is to keep them until the galaxy is wise enough to bear them." Cyril studied Selene's calm face. "You carry a heavy burden." "We do," she said quietly. "But it is better than letting history repeat itself." In the center of the vault stood a hall shaped like a circle. A table of smooth white stone occupied its heart. Above it hung a holographic globe slowly spinning. Small points of light flickered across its surface, marking stars and paths. Selene touched the table and the globe expanded, showing layers, old empires, forgotten colonies, faint trails of ships long gone. "This is what we have learned," she said. "Civilizations rise, they grow, they discover new powers, and often they fall. Some end in silence, others in fire. We gather the traces they leave behind." The lights shifted, forming the image of a broken world. Its surface was scarred, its seas dried to dust. "This," Selene continued, "was a place once full of life. They reached far, built machines that bent energy itself, but their hunger outpaced their wisdom. When their experiments failed, the planet died." Her voice softened. "We found survivors living in darkness. We helped them, but they were few. The knowledge that destroyed their home remains locked here." Vare's feathers settled against his back. He understood now why the humans chose quiet over boasting. They had learned that secrets could outlive those who made them. Selene led them to a side chamber where a large cylinder rested inside a transparent case. Symbols covered its sides, glowing faintly. "This is one of the most dangerous things we hold," she said. It stores an energy process discovered by an empire older than your Concord. They vanished after trying to use it. Even now, we don't fully understand how it works. Why not destroy it? Polly asked. Celine shook her head. Because even destruction can release harm, and sometimes knowledge is needed later, if used with care. So we guard, study, and teach restraint. Saral stepped closer to the case. Have others tried to take what you keep? Yes, Celine said. A few travelers stumbled on Earth without understanding. Some wanted to use what they saw. We sent them away, sometimes firmly. We protect, but we are not helpless. Her steady tone carried weight. Vare realized that Earth's calm face hid sharp awareness. Like a watchful sentinel, they continued through galleries where more relics waited. Ancient charts, fragments of star drives, and small cubes that played recordings of voices from species long vanished. Some halls were closed, their doors marked with quiet warnings. Celine explained that only a handful of trusted people were allowed inside. At last, they reached a room lined with murals painted in soft colors. They showed scenes of Earth's own history, forests, mountains, cities rising and falling. Among them were images of people building ships, then gazing at distant stars. This is our reminder, Selena said. We keep other people's stories, but we must remember our own. We almost lost everything once. We survived by learning patience. Vare felt moved by the art. He saw in it the same spirit that had drawn him to map the unknown, the wish to understand, to leave meaning behind. After hours in the vault, Celine led them back toward the submersible dock. As they walked, Saral spoke quietly. You show us much trust, he said. Why now? Celine looked thoughtful. Because you arrived with care. You listened first. Many would have demanded answers or searched without asking. We watch for those who respect silence. Vare realized that their discovery of Earth had been a test, just as Celine said. The signal had been a whisper, and only those who valued patience would follow it without force. Back in the submersible, the group settled into their seats. As the craft sank again into water, Vare glanced at the gates closing behind them. They looked like the eyelids of a great guardian. The journey upward was calm. Shafts of light pierced the water as they neared the surface, painting silver paths across the cabin walls. Fish scattered at their passage, their scales flashing. Breaking through to daylight, the craft drifted on the lake. The air felt lighter, but the visitors carried the weight of what they had seen. That evening, they gathered on a terrace overlooking the lake. The setting sun cast warm colors across the sky. Celine poured them a drink made from fruit, its taste bright and fresh. Saral raised his glass. To understanding, he said. Celine smiled. And to caution. They shared a quiet moment, letting the peace of the place settle around them. Yet behind the calm, all of them sensed a deeper truth. The galaxy might not leave Earth alone forever. Knowledge that powerful would draw eyes, some kind and some dangerous. Vare watched the water turn gold in the fading light. He thought of the Concord, of rival powers, of wanderers who might chase secrets without care. He felt a sudden wish to protect this planet and its people. Celine seemed to read his thought. The future is wide, she said softly. But choices matter. We will keep guarding as long as we must. Later, when darkness wrapped the lake, Vare returned to his room and wrote in his journal. The vault beneath Earth's ocean is not only a store of dangerous things. It is a heart where memory lives. The humans have made themselves keepers, not because they want to rule, but because they want to spare others from mistakes. They hold strength, but they also hold care. I think they fear what might happen if their burden is taken from them. He placed the journal aside and looked out at the stars. Above, the Orivian dawn waited, a silver dot against the night. Beyond that lay the vastness of the Concord and perhaps other watchers. Vare felt a quiet determination. He would tell the Concord what he had seen, but with wisdom. Earth deserved respect, not greed. Its people had earned the right to choose when and how their truths were shared. As sleep approached, he thought of the vault doors closing. The next morning on Earth began with quiet mist hanging over the lake. Birds skimmed the surface, their wings leaving faint ripples. Inside the guest house, Vare awoke early. He stood by the window, watching soft light creep across the water. The calm scene helped steady the thoughts racing through his mind. He could not stop thinking about the vault under the ocean. Its relics, its lessons, its patient guardianship. Everything about it filled him with respect but also unease. Knowledge like that never stayed safe for long. Someone somewhere would hear whispers about Earth secrets, and they might come not to learn but to take. When he joined Captain Serral and the others for breakfast, he saw the same tension reflected in their faces. Polly stared at her cup, lost in thought. Lurok checked a small device, running quiet scans of their surroundings. Serral met Vare's eyes and gave a slight nod as if to say, "You feel it too." Selene Ward arrived soon after. She looked as calm as ever, but Vare sensed the weight behind her expression. She greeted them warmly and sat down. "You are thinking about what lies below," she said gently. Serral inclined his head. "It is hard not to. Your world keeps things that could change the galaxy." Selene folded her hands. "That is why we must decide who learns of us and when. Some will come with respect, others not." Far above on the Orivian Dawn, the rest of the crew kept watch. Messages from the Stellar Concord had begun arriving. Requests for status reports, questions about the encrypted signal, notes of curiosity about the new species. The words were polite, but Serral read the undertone. Interest mixed with a quiet hunger. He sent careful replies, sharing only what was safe. Still, he knew rumors were already spreading among Concord networks. Traders loved stories of hidden planets. Governments liked stories of power even more. That afternoon, Selene invited the visitors to a conference room lined with glass walls. From there, they could see the lake stretching into the horizon. A large table held maps and charts of surrounding star systems. Some bore small markers shaped like stars inside circles, the same symbol that had ended Earth's first message. Selene pointed to one map. "We monitor nearby sectors," she explained. "Not to control them, but to watch for signs of trouble. We have friends among independent scouts who tell us when strangers draw too close." "Trouble?" Polly asked. Selene's gaze turned serious. "Long before you arrived, we detected signals from fleets moving in patterns that suggested searching. Perhaps they hunt for lost technology. Perhaps they sense we are here. For now, they remain far away, but curiosity is patient." Serral felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "If word of the vault spreads, they will come." "They will," Selene agreed. "That is why we reveal ourselves only to those who prove they can be trusted." Vare thought about the Concord, its politics, its ambitious guilds. Not all of them valued patience as much as Earth did. As the day moved on, Vare walked alone near the lake's edge. He needed time to think. The air smelled of pine and water. Gentle waves lapped at stones. He crouched, tracing a small spiral in the sand with one claw. Footsteps approached. It was Selene. "You wonder if we should have stayed hidden," she said. He looked up. "Yes, but I also believe your wisdom should not vanish in silence. It could help others." "That is the balance we try to keep," Selene said softly. "We share knowledge that heals, guides, or inspires, but some truths must wait until others are ready." Vare watched the calm water. "I fear not everyone will wait," Selene sighed. "That fear is why we keep our defenses quiet but ready. We don't wish to fight, but we will protect what we guard." Meanwhile, far from Earth, events began to move. In the halls of the Concord, a council debated the reports from the Orivian Dawn. Most members urged patience, but a few spoke eagerly of opportunity. Ancient technology could shift the balance of power between star nations. Some suggested sending more ships just in case Earth turned hostile, or to study the relics more closely. On outlying stations, rumors twisted further. Merchant captains claimed Earth was a world rich with hidden treasure. Adventurers dreamed of lost weapons waiting under alien seas. Shadowy groups began sending quiet probes toward the periphery, searching for coordinates. That evening, Selene gathered the visitors for a walk along a stone path leading to a high ridge above the lake. From there, they could see the soft glow of settlements in the distance, lights scattered like quiet stars across the land. "Our people live simply," Selene said. "We build enough to thrive, not to dominate. But don't mistake peace for weakness." She pointed toward the horizon where faintly a cluster of satellites shimmered. "We have watchers above and lines of defense if danger comes. Our goal is to keep the balance, not to destroy but to protect." Serral looked at the satellites. Their quiet readiness matched everything he had learned about Earth, restraint wrapped around strength. Night fell slowly. Stars appeared bright and sharp against a clear sky. Around the guest house, lanterns glowed, casting warm circles on the ground. The crew of the Orivian Dawn joined Selene and several Earth scientists for supper. Conversation drifted between light stories and serious questions about history, science, and ethics. Ver listened more than he spoke. He watched Celine's calm voice steady a debate between Polly and one of the humans about whether dangerous knowledge should ever be shared. Celine's words carried no threat, only a quiet strength. We believe wisdom must guide every hand that holds power. Later, Siral received a private signal from his ship. He excused himself and stepped outside into the cool air. The message came from an officer on the Orivian Dawn. Captain, long-range sensors detect unknown traffic near our sector. Small, fast ships. No response to hails. Siral frowned. He returned to the group and met Celine's eyes. She seemed to understand without words. We should prepare, she said. Before dawn, Siral, Ver, and Selene met in a secure room filled with screens showing orbital data. Tiny lights marked objects moving just beyond Earth's outer defenses. They are still distant, Selene said, but they study us. Siral tightened his jaw. Could be conquered scouts, could be someone else. Either way, Selene replied, we will not allow them near the vault. Ver felt a strange mix of pride and concern for this quiet planet. He realized that the humans' calm confidence was not only about wisdom, it was also about readiness. They had prepared for this moment long before strangers arrived. As the sun rose, Selene guided them to a platform near the lake. A sleek craft hovered there, silver and slender. She gestured toward it. If you want to see how far our caution reaches, come with me. The craft carried them high above the surface. The view widened. Lakes, forests, shining seas. Then they saw shapes in orbit, stations hidden in shadow, satellites with folded wings, small vessels resting silent but alert. Our fleet is modest, Selene said. We don't build giant armadas, but every ship serves a purpose. They can shield our world long enough to protect what must not fall. Ver admired the design. Efficient, elegant, with layers of thought behind every line. He understood that Earth's defense was not for conquest, but for safeguarding a promise. That evening, Siral called a meeting inside the guest house. The group sat around a round table, lights dimmed to match the calm outside. We must send a report, Siral said, but we must also protect Earth from reckless interest. If others rush here, the galaxy could lose something precious. Selene nodded. We trust you to speak wisely. But know this, if danger comes, we will stand firm. Ver placed his hands on the table. I believe you. And I will tell my people. Approach with respect or not at all. For a moment, silence filled the room, steady, strong, like the heartbeat of the lake. When night returned, Ver walked alone once more. He looked up at the stars, tracing the faint path where small ships moved far away. Shadows had already begun to stretch toward Earth. But he also felt a quiet confidence. The humans were not afraid. They were prepared, steady as stone beneath calm water. He thought about the coming days. The decisions Siral must make. The words that would shape how the Concord saw Earth. He also thought of those hidden watchers beyond reach. Would they honor Earth's choice to guard wisdom, or would greed push them closer? Ver closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in the cool air. He promised himself that whatever happened, he would stand for the people who kept history safe beneath their ocean. Somewhere in the distance, a faint hum rose, perhaps the sound of satellites shifting or ships preparing for quiet patrol. Earth was awake now, no longer only a whisper on the edge of the map. And Ver understood. Once secrets step into light, shadows always follow. But in that balance between light and dark, he believed humanity could hold firm. They were more than keepers of dangerous things. They were steady hands guarding the future, and their calm strength might be the key to guiding the galaxy away from ruin. Morning light spilled across the lake, turning the water silver and gold. Inside the guest house, Ver rose from a night of restless sleep. He walked to the window, wings folding close as he gazed at the quiet world outside. The air looked calm, but he felt a storm waiting beyond the horizon. Downstairs, Captain Siral Rin and the others gathered around a low table. Maps, data chips, and reports from the Orivian Dawn lay scattered across its surface. Selene Ward stood at the head of the room, her steady gaze moving from face to face. Today, she said, we must decide how to speak to the galaxy. What we say or fail to say will shape what comes next. Siral rubbed a hand across his brow. The Concord already sends questions. And there are ships near the edge of your system. They haven't crossed your line yet, but they watch. Celine nodded. We expected this. The vault cannot stay a perfect secret now, but we can choose how much light to let through. After a short meal, they stepped outside. The sky above Earth was bright and clear, dotted with small satellites glinting faintly in sunlight. Celine led them to a stone platform near the water where a transmitter stood. Its surface gleamed with quiet strength, simple yet precise. This device links to our High Council, she said. Today we send a message to your Concord and to a few of our own watchers among the stars. Vare studied the device. Its design reflected everything he had learned about humans: elegance, caution, and quiet resolve. He felt honored to stand with them as history moved. The message took hours to craft. Celine spoke first, shaping her words with care. To the Stellar Concord, she said, her voice calm and clear. We greet you as keepers of memory and protectors of peace. We welcome conversation, but our planet holds legacies too dangerous to scatter without thought. We ask that you come with patience and honor, not with hunger. Cyril added his voice. I confirm Earth's goodwill. They seek understanding, not conflict. Their archives are not trophies. They are warnings carved from the past. Vare stepped forward. I found this world, he said softly, and I have seen its heart. It is not a hoard to be taken. It is a promise of wisdom. Approach gently, or risk losing more than you gain. When they finished, Celine transmitted the message through carefully shielded channels. The signal leapt from Earth toward the Concord, bright and fragile as a beam of sunlight through storm clouds. While waiting for an answer, Celine invited them for a walk. They followed a narrow path climbing into the hills. From above, the lake looked like a polished mirror reflecting the sky. Wind carried scents of pine and distant sea. As they climbed, Celine spoke quietly. Even now, some in our own council fear we showed you too much. Others believe we should step fully into the open. We walk between shadows. That is true for us as well, Cyril replied. Some in the Concord see a chance for friendship. Others see only what power they might take. Vare listened in silence. He thought of the vault, its doors, its treasures, its warnings, and hoped the stars would choose wisdom over greed. At the hilltop they paused. The view stretched far, blue water, green forest, snowy mountains on the horizon. It was a world worth guarding. By evening, an encrypted reply arrived from the Stellar Concord. Celine gathered everyone in the conference room to read it aloud. To Earth and the crew of the Orivian Dawn, we acknowledge your message. The Concord values discovery, but also stability. We request an open council to discuss peaceful contact and the safety of all knowledge found on your world. No fleets will enter your inner space without consent. A gentle breath of relief passed through the room. The Concord had chosen caution, at least for now, but another note followed, smaller, written in Cyril's private code. He read it silently, his brow furrowing. When he finished, he looked at Celine. Not all agree, he said. Some voices urge stronger action. They speak of protection, but I hear ambition behind their words. Celine folded her arms. We expected that. What matters is that enough leaders choose dialogue. To prepare for the council, Celine took them again to the vault beneath the ocean. This time, the journey felt different. They were not only visitors now, they were partners in a careful task. Inside, the relic seemed to shimmer with quiet attention, as if listening. Celine stopped by the hall where the holographic globe spun slowly. She touched its edge and new lights appeared, marking conquered worlds and routes. These points, she said, are where we believe our message will echo most strongly, but also where others may try to twist it. She turned to Cyril and Vare. You have walked among us. You know why we protect what we keep. When you speak to your council, speak of responsibility, not treasure. I will, Cyril said firmly. And I, Vare added. Earth deserves respect, not raids. Celine's eyes softened. Thank you. Days passed with steady work. Cyril drafted careful reports for the Concord. Celine prepared her own speeches for Earth's quiet leaders hidden across the planet. Polly and Lurok studied the balance between sharing and shielding information. Vare recorded every moment in his journal, writing not only facts but feelings. The calm of the lake, the patience of Celine, the heavy silence inside the vault. Above, ships moved in distant orbits, watchers from the Concord and perhaps others. Earth's defense satellites shifted quietly, ready but unseen. The fragile space between curiosity and caution stretched like glass. Finally, the day of the council came. It was held through secure hololinks, with delegates appearing as shimmering figures above a round table in the guest house. Celine stood tall, dressed in simple dark fabric. Cyril wore his captain's uniform. Vare sat nearby, calm but alert. The Concord's voices filled the room. Some praised Earth's restraint and wished for cooperation. Others asked sharp questions about the vault's contents. A few demanded more access, speaking of safety and order. Celine answered each with steady grace. Earth does not hide to gain power, she said. We hide to prevent harm. The things we keep are lessons, not weapons to trade. Vare added gentle testimony. When I found this planet, I found care, not conquest. Humanity guards the ruins of history so no one else will repeat them. Cyril spoke firmly to those who press too hard. If we reach with force, we may destroy what we hope to learn. The debate lasted many hours. In the end, the Concord agreed to a cautious accord. Earth would share guidance about safe sciences, but the vault's most dangerous items would remain sealed until a joint council judged the galaxy ready. No fleets or agents would approach without consent. After the meeting, Selena led Cyril and Vare outside. The sky was full of stars, clear and bright. The lake reflected them, making it seem as if two skies stretched above and below. Selena released a quiet breath. We have a chance now, she said. Not a promise, but a chance. Cyril looked at her. It will take constant care. Yes, she said. But care is better than silence born of fear. Vare felt warmth in his chest. He had wandered far, charting empty places. Yet here, at the edge of maps, he had found something worth more than coordinates. Trust, earned through patience. That night, the group gathered one last time in the guest house hall. A simple meal was shared. They laughed softly, speaking of stars and seas, of how small choices could bend great futures. Even Lurok, usually quiet, told a dry joke that made Celine smile. When the lights dimmed, Celine stood. Tomorrow you return to your ship, she said. But you will always be welcome here, so long as you remember what we protect. Cyril bowed slightly. We will honor that. Vare touched a hand to his chest, the gesture of promise in his culture. I will keep your story safe. At dawn, they prepared to leave. The shuttle lifted gently from the lakeside, carrying them toward the waiting Orivian dawn. Celine watched from the shore, her figure small against the vast water. She raised her hand in farewell. From the shuttle window, Vare looked back at Earth. Sunlight poured over forests, rivers, and mountains. Somewhere beneath, the vault slept in its quiet chamber, guarding fragments of forgotten ages. Above, satellites glimmered faintly, watchful guardians of a fragile accord. He opened his journal one last time on the descent. The galaxy is wide and restless, but at its edge stands a world that chooses patience over greed, wisdom over noise. Humanity may not be the oldest or strongest, yet their calm holds strength enough to steady others. They remind us that secrets can be a shield when kept with honor, and that knowledge is safest in hands that respect its weight. He closed the book and smiled. For a moment, he felt the universe steady, as if the stars themselves approved. The Orivian dawn rose beyond the clouds, engines humming like a song of promise. Behind them, Earth waited, quiet, steadfast, and ready to hold its place on the border between memory and future.